All right, everyone, settle in. I want to talk about what gives us our edge, especially when the markets get choppy. We're going to pull back the curtain today on the proprietary methodology that drives our decisions. It's our guide to planetary timing, and it's how we invest by the stars.
So, let's start with our core framework. Everything we do, every single decision flows from this, the 50-25-25 rule. And it's pretty straightforward, really. We believe a full 50% of a stock's move is dictated by the overall market, the tide, if you will. Another 25% comes from its industry group, which boat it's in. And only the last 25%, that's down to the individual company itself. Understanding this is absolutely crucial. It's why we are a top-down shop, period.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with why the top-down advantage is so critical. Then we'll break down each piece, that massive 50%, timing the market. The next 25%, finding those winning planetary themes. Then the final 25%, selecting the stocks. And we'll wrap up by talking about our astrological edge.
All right, first things first, the premise. Why are we so insistent on this top-down approach? It really just boils down to a simple but very powerful calculation of risk versus reward.
And this slide right here, this says it all. Look, if we get the market and the industry right, we're already capturing 75% of the potential move. Even if we pick a total dog of a stock in that sector, we're still benefiting from the tailwind. Now flip that. The bottom-up guys, they might find the most amazing company on earth. But if the market's heading off a cliff, they're fighting the current the whole way. It's a game of probabilities, and we like our odds much, much better this way.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Ignoring a down secular market trend is like walking up the down escalator. You can be the fastest walker in the world, taking 3 steps at a time, but you're just not going to get very far. It's a perfect illustration of what happens when you fight the major trend.
Okay, let's get into the meat of it, that huge 50% chunk. This is the foundation of everything, and it brings us to a topic that makes most people in our industry uncomfortable, to say the least: timing the market. Right. Everyone says you can't time the market. You've heard it a million times. It's Wall Street gospel. But are they right? We're here to tell you, based on our work, that consistent market timing is not only possible, it's essential. So let's treat this like a skeptical tutorial. I'm not asking you to just believe me, I'm asking you to look at the evidence with me. Let's start with the big one, the '87 crash, Black Monday. To the mainstream, it was a complete black swan event, a total shock to the system. But for those of us watching the planetary alignments, well, while the severity was certainly surprising, the timing was not. The astrological signals were screaming that something big and stressful was on the horizon. It was a warning that conventional analysis completely missed. Okay, here's another one, the 1995 Mexico tequila crisis. Everyone on Wall Street was drinking the pro-NAFTA Kool-Aid, saying everything is rosy. But our methodology cut right through that noise. A look at Mexico's national horoscope gave a clear, unambiguous warning of potential crises and transformational changes. It was right there in the chart. We saw the real risk, while the herd was getting ready for a fiesta. But look, it's not always about calling these massive crashes. We also use this to refine our 50% view by getting a handle on inflation. We look at bonds, sure, but we also look to the charts for precious metals and commodity indexes to get confirmation on where things are really heading. And to get real conviction on these calls, we use a proprietary verification technique we call family horoscopes. The idea is simple. Think about it. If something huge happens in your family, it's going to show up in your chart, your spouse's chart, your kids' charts, right? It's the same in the markets. If inflation is the real deal, we should see that signal not just in gold, but also in silver, in the CRB index, across the whole family of related assets. It gives us incredible signal strength.
So here's the payoff. This isn't just an academic exercise. Our system gives us a complete playbook. When the signals are aligned, that's a clear view, and we deploy capital with confidence. When there are no major signals, that's a no view. The market's probably just going to meander. We stay patient. Mixed view? Sideways chop, maybe we trade some short-term trends. And here's the most important one, a confusing view. When signals are fighting each other, that's the market telling us it's confused. And what do? We stand aside. Sometimes the most profitable move is no move at all.
All right, so we've got our 50% view on the market. Now for the next 25%, we need to figure out which sectors are poised to outperform. It's about catching the right wave within the tide.
And we do that by looking at what we call planetary themes. These are long-term cycles between the major planets that correspond to specific industry groups. For example, a Jupiter-Uranus cycle historically lines up with breakthroughs and expansion in high technology.
Jupiter-Pluto often points to big moves in oil, banking, or biotechs. We're literally mapping the cosmic weather to find the hot spots in the economy. Let me give you a real-world example of how powerful this is. Back in '92, our planetary themes were screaming gold, but we didn't just buy gold stocks. We saw that Australia's chart looked great and its currency was undervalued. The result? We nailed the move in the stocks and picked up an extra 7% on the currency. Then in '95, the theme was gold again, but this time the stars were pointing to Canada. We recommended buying Canadian gold stocks and at the same time selling the big Mexican bellwether, Telemex. It was a perfect pair trade, all driven by the charts.
Okay, we're on the home stretch. We've got our market view, we've got our winning industry, now for that final 25%, drilling down to select the individual company, the star player.
And for us, fundamental analysis begins with something you won't hear about in business school, the incorporation horoscope. Think of it as a company's birth chart, cast for the exact moment it was legally incorporated. This chart is its financial DNA. It shows us everything, its foundational strengths, its inherent weaknesses, and what its future potential really looks like.
Our process for this is very rigorous. It's 2 steps. First, we scrutinize that company's incorporation horoscope. Is it fundamentally strong? And just as important, are the current planetary transits favorable? Is now the time for it to shine? Second, we verify. We use that family horoscopes concept again. We look at the charts of its competitors, its suppliers, even its country's fund. We want to see powerful confirmation across the board. This 2-step process ensures we're not just picking a good stock, we're picking it at the exact right time.
All right, let's tie this all together. When you combine the 50% market view, the 25% industry theme, and the final 25% stock selection, what you get is a complete, synthesized approach. This is our astrological edge.
What this method provides is a clear, evidence-based report. It's a system that's designed to remove emotion and guesswork from the equation. And frankly, it's a system that outperforms conventional analysis, especially when uncertainty is high and everybody else is running around in a panic.
And that leads to this crucial point. We are not interested in chasing yesterday's winners. Our goal is to align our capital with the coming themes. Because as this says, today's winners can easily turn into tomorrow's laggards if your investments are not finely attuned to the cosmos.
So I'll leave you all with this one final thought. It's the core question our entire methodology is designed to answer. In times of high uncertainty, when the herd is stampeding one way and then the other, do you follow them off the cliff? Or do you follow the stars?